So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Saturn transit again. And this particular video, not only are we going to cover Saturn going over other planets, but especially Saturn, which has planets trine from itself, which means it can apply for not just a small amount of people. It's going to apply to vast amount of people because you want to see if your Saturn goes into Pisces in your chart, wherever Pisces is. Then you want to see if you have any planets in the water signs. Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. So don't just think that only if the planet is in the sign of Pisces that this Saturn is going to affect. This Saturn is also going to affect those planets in the other water signs, Cancer and Scorpio. And the way it does it, it's a little bit different than what regular transit that you have understood. That if Saturn goes over, moon, it will make a person go into depression, it'll make a person deal with a hard life and all that. No, it's a different concept when you study through the eyes and the lenses of Nadi. Okay? Saturn is not affecting the moon. Think the opposite way. Moon is affecting Saturn, so the Saturn's quality is going to change, especially when Saturn is directly around the moon. For example, your moon is in Pisces, right? At, let's say, 15 degrees. So when Saturn is around 13 degrees, all the way to 18 degrees of Pisces, this is where the full focus and concentration of the moon will take place upon Saturn. But because Saturn is naturally moving towards moon up to 15 degrees, which will be middle of next year. So Saturn slowly is taking the energy of the moon. Moon is taking the reflection of the sun, right? To light up. And then Saturn is taking that cool energy of the moon upon itself. So whatever Saturn represents, you're going to start dealing with those particular things in your karma of Saturn. This is how transits are to be studied. So we're going to go over Saturn going over or in trine from Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn itself, along with Rahu and Ketu. Now, if you need to know about your transit and to see your birth chart and understand how these transits are really going to integrate in your particular birth chart, for that you can obviously go to kairosastrology.com. Under shop section, option 7 and beyond are all readings. Option 6 is your report. Before that is my books. So, because then you can see the dynamic understanding of how a planet creates a combination with all the planets. Because you may not just have other planets in water signs. You can have 4 or 5 planets in water signs. How Saturn is going to navigate to them, that becomes part of that yoga. Okay, so you can check out the stuff here. And again, remember my Jupiter retrograde video, which is like discussing some hidden insights of Jupiter that cannot be discussed on open social media. It has a lot of connotation to it that I've repeatedly said, redundantly said. It's something that could be very private. It's something that it's a little bit awkward that sometimes people may not want to hear it on an open forum. So I put those 5-part videos with remedy for retrograde Jupiter and explaining, the causation of retrograde Jupiter. So check that out if you have a retrograde Jupiter. I might do other planets, but the most important was Jupiter because Jupiter is you, the Jiva Atma, the Jiva Karka, the living soul of the chart. It's your blessings, it's your fortune, Bhagya, and it's retrograde. So there's a reason behind it, right? That's what I explained. Okay, so you can go check that out there. How does Saturn work? See, you will understand in your life, whatever your lifespan is, Saturn literally could be affecting maximum of 8 houses at all times in your world. So, for example, if we look at the Parashri concept, Saturn aspects the 3rd, 7th, and 10th from itself. These are your responsibility in life. You can't escape them. So if Saturn is in the second house, family naturally becomes the responsibility, whether you like it or not. Fourth house, mother, property will become responsibility. Eighth house, in-laws will become responsibility. 11th house, social circles, network circles, and gains become the responsibility for this individual. But gains for who? Gains for where Saturn is placed. It's for the family. So these are your responsibility that you can't escape. It cannot be changed. You can run as far away as you possible. It's always going to come to you. Like you will see if Saturn goes into the 6th house or Saturn is in the 8th house, this person will somehow have to take the responsibility of the in-laws. Somebody within the spouse's family will require your need and assistance, and you can't escape that. Saturn's going to make you do that. So these are like naturally 4 placement of Saturn that are given to you for responsibility. On top of that, you have a transiting Saturn, which then will also have the 3rd, 7th, and 10th aspect from itself, along with the sign that it's sitting in. Now for those 2.5 years, those things become your responsibility. So that's more like a temporary responsibility that comes into play. This is why everybody feels like, oh my God, Saturn's so heavy. It's not really heavy, because if you look at your life now, let's say you're 50 years old, enjoyed your life, you're like, yeah, my life has turned out to be pretty normal, pretty okay. It's just that those responsibilities just came in and you took care of it. Especially if you had the right yogas, everything can be solved with money, especially in this day and age. So whether it was taking care of the parents, taking care of the in-laws, taking care of the children, taking care of the sisters and brothers, if you had money, okay, you take care of it. You hired somebody to take care of something, right? So it's not always about it has to be, oh my God, it has to exhaust you. I mean, somehow, some way, my own Saturn, my own transits in my planet would give me 8 responsibility throughout the year. So you want to look at that part as well. So wherever Saturn is in your chart, if it enters Pisces, that means the sign of Taurus, sign of Virgo, sign of Sagittarius is going to be is going to ask you for responsibility. Now, in Nadi concept, what happens is taking on, those energies are being infused into Saturn. Saturn, the planets are like, you better use us if you want to succeed. How simple is that? You need to use us in order for you to succeed with Saturn. Saturn, which is also not only your duty, commitment, and sacrifice, it's also the planet of your profession. It's going to show what's going to be happening in profession in the next 2.5 years. Okay. So now let's talk about actually Sun meeting Saturn meeting Sun. Okay, in your birth chart. So when Saturn is meeting your Sun in trine, Sun represents success in Nadi. Because Sun is success. Because Sun is the king. King became a king because they were successful at something. Right? Success is always there. They're always privileged in life. So when Saturn is meeting Sun, this is going to be the time period of success in a person's work. And level of success differs depending upon how the planetary placements are in your birth chart. Meaning some people only find the big success in their 30s. Like for example, if your Jupiter has Saturn next to it in the next house, Saturn's gonna have to cross Saturn in order for you to start gaining momentum in your life and gaining success. If let's say your ascendant is a certain zodiac sign, if your ascendant is a certain nakshatra, that will activate your Bhagya Uday at some point. And I'm actually going to go into this around April or May about zodiac signs and secrets of ascendant and age activation of those particular planets. I've been studying this for about a year now, actually 8 months. So I'm going to show you the activation of those things. So depending upon that, but even if let's say you were supposed to find success at 33, you're 25 years old, still it's going to give you something. Like even in my own case, if I go back, when Saturn went over, well actually no, it went over my Sun very quickly. But the thing is, from trine though, I had no problem finding jobs. I got fired from one job. Within a week, I had something else coming. It was always great. So Saturn is getting the area of success. Then at the same time, Saturn meeting Sun also shows that there's going to be responsibility connected with the father that becomes active. Father will ask you to do something. Maybe if, let's say, you're middle aged, then father's going to be like 80, 90 years old. You're going to have to take care of the father. So that responsibility, because Saturn is responsibility. And so the Sun is saying, I'm infusing you with my energy. That means if you don't use me or somehow help me, then you will have issues in your career. So that means if father wants help, you better help them. Because if you don't, then guess what's going to happen? You're not aligned with Sun and Saturn. Now it's going to cause issues with authorities in your work. And you will have hard time dealing with, your ego being cut. So that becomes important to understand this particular concept. Also, Saturn looking at Sun can actually even bring about karma of birthing a son. Because now you're supposed to have the karma of raising a son. So this can happen. But of course, you have to see how many months you're in or when you're planning your children. Okay, so those things become active as well. Also, this is a great period for people who are wanting to go into gold business. Although gold is very high, but again, business is always business. Somebody's always making money in the down market, up market. So Saturn's going to be like, okay, this is going to be the period where I'm going to somehow get into gold. Maybe investing in gold will happen. Or somebody who wants to start a gold business is thinking about it. Now Saturn's going to implement it for them depending upon the degrees of the Sun. Okay. Also, administrative duties become active. A lot of administrative duty becomes active in your workspace. Like suddenly you'll just be like dealing with all kinds of extra paperwork. Okay. Some people will also be performing rites, ancestral rites. If they have never done it, they will somehow do it. Even I think I had to do something too. Yeah. I had to do something too. I remember when my father passed away 2 years later, because I look back at all these things, I had to go to a temple and do all these things. And that's when Saturn was in trine for my son, because Sun is DNA. You have to deal with your ancestors. Some obligation towards them. Now we'll see Saturn meeting Moon. Now Saturn is meeting your Moon in Pisces or in any other water signs that you have. Okay. So here, you know what Saturn is asking? Or Moon is asking? Moon is saying, you need change. You gotta get ready for change. You must have change if you want to have a smooth ride in Pisces. Which means, if you're in a work where you're in a cubicle and you're dealing with paperwork all day and you're just doing redundant things, most likely Saturn is going to make you change that work. Either forcefully or by your own choice. Okay? It's going to make you change that work. If, let's say, you do have work and you love the work that you do, you actually love that boring, dry work because, hey, I'm away from everything. I'm dealing with my thing. I don't want to deal with change. Well, in that case, start traveling. And when do you travel? On Saturday. If you don't work on Saturday, go travel 100 miles or more. Take your laptop with you and maybe for half an hour or so in some coffee shop, work on the work that you do. Do some extra work. And I'm not saying you do this for the 2.5 years. First, you let Saturn get closer to your Moon. So your Moon is at, let's say, 5 degrees. Well, guess what? Boom. June. By May, June actually onwards, Saturn is going to be very close to your Moon. And once you start seeing that, okay, things are uneasy in my work, you travel and do this. And then this is what I tell people. Test me. Don't trust me. For 2 months, you do this for every other Saturday. You travel. If you can go all 4 Saturdays, but try for every other Saturday for two months and see how the flow of that stagnant work is doing. The work that is actually making you be in one spot. Is it going smooth? Is the things that were supposed to be changing are now calming down? And if it is, then continue. Okay. But if it's not helping you, if it's not doing it, then it is going to ask for that change. But the thing is, by you doing this, you will actually see you're aligning with that Saturn and Moon. Saturn is going to ask for responsibility related to the mother. Okay. Especially during this time period. If one is looking for a job, look for a job that is a temporary contract-based job. Or job that allows you to travel. Job that is going to connect with food, hospitality, chemicals, water. Or for example, there's a big milk factory and they're looking for an IT professional, software engineer for their big milk production factory. Because everything needs IT. You go to that work, they will hire you before they hire somebody else with some other combination. Because Saturn is meeting Moon. You're aligning yourself with Moon. And so you're going to be okay. 2.5 years will come and go by and be like, all right, okay. And like I said, the responsibility related to the mother will be there, one way or the other. Mother's own work, if let's say your mother is a working mother, then mother work increases. Because now we're looking at Moon. Okay, we're looking at Moon. And this is something I should have said in the beginning, that other planets in the chart, you need to make the combination with those particular planets as well to see what's going on. Okay, but yes, because this is your Saturn going over Moon, but now we're looking at Moon as the mother. That means their mother will deal with a lot of responsibility in her life. Mother will feel lethargic, lazy, okay, due to that overworking that will occur in her life. Especially like even you're in your 20s and 30s, mother joints will begin to slow her down. Now, of course, if mother does yoga, mother does other things, then of course, it's like, she's already taking care of the remedy before the even cause is going to happen. Okay. But you want to see what type of trine that Saturn is making along with this Moon. Okay. So then next we're going to look at Saturn meeting Venus. So Saturn is then going to be hitting Venus in the water signs, any of the water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. So on the most mundane level, get ready to get money. Saturn's going to bring you money. Saturn has to bring you money. It's going to see Venus is luxury, money, wealth, home, okay. Anything that gives you comfort. That can also be mattresses. That can also be like bed, mattresses, AC. See, and I've done people who are like working for big mattress companies. I always seen Rohini, Nakshatra playing out in their chart. And Saturn, Venus. Why? Because their job is to give comfort. Sure, it could be somebody who could be a makeup artist. That combination can make somebody a lawyer. But the thing is, Venus also represents comfort because it's luxury. Especially even vehicles. You just want to see which degree Venus is in. And whenever Saturn gets closer to that becomes active. Then the other thing, karma, responsibility of the relationship would be able to become active if you're at the right age. Okay. I remember my first Saturn's trine from Venus at the age of 14. I started working. I was 14. I started working at McDonald's part-time. Like 4 hours on Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday was like 8 hours, and God, it was tough back then. It wasn't, I don't know even if it's right now, it's tough, but oh man. But when you got your paycheck, oh boy, that felt good. Like $375 a week, you're like, you thought you were on top of the world back in, you know, early 90s. So that happened. So, I mean, pretty much at the early age, Saturn says you got to make money. So it is going to bring money. And along with other things. Saturn is work. In your work, number one, diplomacy becomes very important. In your work, a person, if they're not taking a creative approach, okay, work becomes dry. Why? Because now Venus is saying, hey, use me. I'm here. You're going to have to take my significance, and I'm infusing you with my quality. So now what happens is many people will feel bored at work. They're like, this work is too dry. There's no creativity in this work. There's no passion in this work. So one looks for work that gives them that passion. For example, I actually did a reading today of somebody who is working in like pharmaceuticals. Okay. However, they want to be in a research-based profession. Yet they're working in like CVS pharmacies as a pharmacist. And they're like, I don't want to do this retail pharmacy. I want to actually go into the research part. That's where my interest and passion is. So this is what Saturn ignites with Venus. Is that desire to wake up in the morning and feel like, another bright day because I'm going to be doing something creative. But the other thing, you will take a very non-conventional approach to your career for the time when Saturn is around Venus, before and after its degree. Because remember, Venus spins in the opposite direction. The sun rises from the west and sets in the east. So now guess what? In your karma, in your work, you're going to be forced to become unconventional. If you're looking for conventionalism in your work, well, all I can say is good luck. May the force be with you, because you're going to need that force if you want to have a smooth ride. And usually if you see like IS officers for 30 years, 40 years, right? They're in one company, one government sector for a long time. And I'm pretty sure Saturn would have been trine or went over Venus. If you are this, look back at those particular years, especially when Venus was very close to Saturn's, or Saturn was very close to Venus's degree. Something different would have been taken place in your work. Maybe in those 2-3 months, the government sector said, okay, instead of being in New Delhi, can you go to Shimla and take care of this particular part, because we're going to be doing this one contract with Shimla, okay, or Uttarakhand. And so you went to the most beautiful hill stations and you saw mountains and you're working and it's an amazing place. You went on to some conference during that time period. And if you think back, you're like, yeah, in that time period, I took this creative approach that helped us secure this, whatever the corporate vocabulary is, being an IS officer or a government worker, government bureaucrat. It's going to happen. Like you will see, especially with Saturn, when it meets Venus. When you hire more females during this time, or you work with more females, they help you with your profession. Okay? But of course, this is not something like outside of this transit. This is only to align with that transit. Because you're going to see with the next one, I'm going to say something else. What one should be doing to align with that particular Saturn. Like if somebody's trying to go for acting career, this is going to be the best period to get things going. Especially this is also the period wife gets busy in their career. Wife becomes very cold, structured, okay, and lazy. Wife is going to demand a lot of things during this time because Venus is wife. But at the same time, the lethargic neck takes over them. They will feel like they want to sleep in the middle of the day. But again, the reason why, because they're going to feel exhausted. Like a little bit of work will bring exhaustion to them. Not you. Because again, this is Venus. We're looking at the avastha of Venus. Not what Venus is doing to Saturn, but now what Saturn would do to Venus. So now we have to look at what is representing in the particular birth chart. Like especially if you have daughters, this is going to be the period that daughters are going to have to work hard on their education, on their studies. Let's say they're 7 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. Like especially if they're in that teenage years, Saturn triggering Venus or Mercury, if let's say you have two daughters, it can activate their adulthood, activate their menstrual cycle. Either usually, if an eclipse happens over Venus, triggers that. So let's say your Venus, whether it's alone or not, but sun, moon come over Venus, okay, or moon, sun are together, and is causing some lunar eclipse. Those eclipses can trigger the awakening of the womanhood for girls. So Saturn is now meeting your Mercury. In any of the water signs, could be in Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. Okay. So here, Saturn, which is your karma, which is your work, finds Mercury, which means things multiply. Work multiplies. Work opportunities multiply. One also becomes focused on learning something new. Like in this time period, most people will, if they're at the correct age, they will go for their higher education, MBA, interested in MBA. And especially then Venus has to play that role. Because Venus is higher education. Because for higher education, you have to pay money. It's a luxury. Higher education is a luxury. It's not a right. So that means you have to have that privilege of Venus to go get higher education. But that idea sinks in. That, okay, I want to get a higher education. I want to develop some skill connected with my career. Because remember, Mercury's throwing its energy towards Saturn. And Saturn's like, whoa, okay. Looks like I need to learn something related to my career. Okay, let's do this. Because if you don't implement Mercury, then it causes nervousness in a person. A person feels insecure. Like they feel like, oh my God, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. Oh my God, should I do this or not do this? There's confusion because Mercury is a dual planet. It's a dual natured planet. Right? Mercury is also genderless. So it's like, it can be this way, it can be that way. So usually if you don't take care of this Mercury, and Mercury is also business, meaning many people find opportunities to do business. But if you don't implement Mercury in any way, then a person just feels confused about which decision to make. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this at work? Should I do that work? Should I contact my superior? Should I not contact my superior? These are the things you will juggle with, especially around the degrees that your Mercury is at in your birth chart. So if your Mercury is, of course, is at 27, 28 degrees, well, you don't have to worry about that till 2027. Okay? You don't have to worry about that till 2027. But right now, if let's say Mercury is in the early stages, let's say if it's at 9 degrees, 10 degrees, then yeah, in the first quarter of 2026, this is going to become very strong. And if Mercury is the only planet that Saturn is hitting, that yeah, this year, it's just simply going to be in more of that Pisces mode. But as it gets closer and closer, now that Mercury's energy has to become active because it's going every day, it's going closer and closer to Mercury. So even if, let's say, Mercury is at 10 degrees, Saturn's going to be at 5 degrees, 5.36 degrees, it's going to go retrograde. So it's going to linger around that 543 degrees, okay, of Pisces. But still, because it's moving closer and closer, its job is to move closer and closer. Definitely by September, October, you want to start implementing Mercury in your life. Mercury during this time period, especially if you have a younger sister, it helps. They tend to get a job. They tend to get new job opportunity. They become very cold and structured in their life. They will not so apprehensive towards like communicating with you a lot because they're busy in their work. They're busy in their life's goal. And Mercury also represents your younger sister, represents your second daughter, represents your maternal aunts, okay, or cousins in general. So, and then also because your Saturn is moving towards this Mercury, that means a responsibility becomes active related to that. Related to a sister will become active, related to a daughter will become active. Okay. So especially during this time period, one gives birth to that responsibility of taking care of the daughter. And especially because Saturn is meeting Mercury and the daughter is born, well, guess what? Multiple opportunities a person will always get throughout life. Because that's the chart of your daughter. Okay. So because it was happening in your particular case, you start getting multiple opportunities. You see, it's a multi-dimensional thing. You have a prashna, you have your own chart, you have your daughter's chart, you have the time, how the planetary alignments were in your chart when the child was born. There's all these different dynamics that can play out at any given moment. And then you have like literally 10 different levels of astrology. All different astrology, Gemini, Lal Kitab, KP and Nadi astrology and Parashri. I mean, there's all kinds of astrologies out there. But yeah, Saturn is, needs to infuse with Mercury. And then the other thing with Mercury, communication. If you're not a talker, this is the time to talk now. You better practice. The more you communicate when Saturn is meeting Mercury, the better your career becomes. The better you feel, the more confident you'll feel when you actually talk in your profession. And actually, the even better confidence, like I told you earlier, take some courses, take some certification courses related to your career. Let's say everybody's trying to do AI machine learning, okay? And it's the way the world's going, even though it's putting an X on your own foot. But that it is what it is. But having that ability to learn about machine learning and the complexities of it, of the algorithm of AI, you feel confident. You see, knowledge brings confidence in a person. And this is why, where does Mercury finds its directional strength? Like Jupiter finds it in the ascendant. Mercury is also known to find it in the ascendant and the second house. Some area of studies say second house, some will say the first house. Because the more knowledge you have, the better the person expands in their life. Okay. So this is Jupiter or Saturn meeting your Mercury. Next is going to be Mars. So Saturn is meeting Mars. And this is very, very important. Probably in this entire video, this is the most important part of the transit video. So whether your Saturn or Mars is in Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, extremely important that you find out what degree your Mars is in. And as I said, you can go to karasastrology.com here under shop section, under option 6, which is your PDF report. Literally on the second page, you'll see the degrees of all the planets. So if Mars is at 5 degrees, it'll tell you 10 degrees, say 20 degrees. But specifically, this year, next year, one of the simplest things you can do, after March of this year, pretty much April 1st, and January 1st and first week of next year, go do blood work or cholesterol check. Even if you're in your 30s or 20s. Plus, it's good to find out about health and just do the blood work. Because what happens is, it calms your Mars down. Because number one, Mars will represent 4 major things. Hospitals, Mars represents syringes, forearms, and blood. So whether you go to a doctor's office, which is the same thing, the nurse will come, take your blood out from your forearm. That's it. Just that particular remedy will calm your Mars down by 80 to 90%. That means you don't deal with the issues with this Mars that you would deal with if you don't do this. Because Mars can cause major disputes in your work, fights in your work, karma of, cuts, bruises become active as well. So by you doing this, okay, it just simply says, hey, whatever's supposed to happen, I did it. And now I've calmed Mars down. Now, many will also ask about, can I donate blood? No, that is only if your Mars is in a certain position where we know Mars is not doing well in your chart and it's becoming more negative in your chart. So it's better to donate that blood than to do the check. But the check, the cholesterol check or just blood work done is the most, universal thing you can do. In certain cases, I tell people, okay, you need to donate blood actually. Give away Mars, meaning you're giving away the resources of Mars or power of Mars because it's negative in your chart. But most of the time, is this particular remedy that is very important. So in your workspace, it does that, intensifies that. Now, if of course your Mars is at 29 degrees and Saturn is entering just this year in March 29th, that means 25, 26, 27, 3 years become where Saturn is going to be affected by Mars because it's in the same house as Mars. So that means 3 years you want to do this. It's like, 20-minute thing to go to the doctor's office and just say, I just want to do this. And within 20 minutes, 15 minutes, they'll take your blood and all that. Say, okay, we'll send you the results. They'll send you a link or whatever. But it's more so just doing this particular remedy, so that disputes don't happen. Like if Saturn is transiting the 7th house with Mars, big disputes with your spouse can happen here. That can completely isolate two people, make them very absent brings absence and space in their life. Because Pisces is space. Mars is sitting there, Saturn is coming in. So you don't want to create that space, you just do this simple remedy. But on the other hand, it'd be a great time for your younger brother and husband to find work, to become busy at work, to have long hours of work. And you can take that in a positive way, you can take that in a negative way. If you're sitting without work, then it's a blessing in the sky. That okay, work is now coming to them. But yeah, if you get too much work, you're working 15 hours a day, it'll stress you out. You'll feel exhausted. So, there's all kinds of things that happens. Usually you will also see with Saturn, whenever it looks at Mars, trine, especially trine. A person naturally loves to either join yoga, wants to join a gym, because the activity is getting karma. Mars is saying, I'm giving you my energy, Saturn. Saturn is karma, so I'm getting the energy of Mars. What am I going to do? I'm going to become like this athlete, a gladiator. Okay, in my own world, in my own way. Next, Saturn meeting Jupiter. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to be doing Jupiter, or Jupiter is going to be infusing Saturn with this energy. Meaning, if you have Jupiter in the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Saturn's going to take the qualities of that Jupiter. It's not affecting Jupiter. Jupiter is the one affecting Saturn, which means expansion in your career happens. New things blossom in your career. Okay. Naturally, a person will find mentors during this time related to their work. One becomes quite attracted, even a little bit, towards Dharma, because this, in a way, is a temporary Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga. A person, even an atheist, gets inclined towards wanting to just feel like, let me explore this whole thing about faith and divinity. There's a hope, there's hopefulness, there's inspiration, there's optimism in your life when Saturn is being looked on by Jupiter. And you will see this, doesn't matter what sign it is in. It could be debilitated. Saturn could be debilitated in its transit. Doesn't matter. Jupiter is going to bring blessings. Jupiter is Amrit, is blessings. So one finds blessings in their career, and especially those who are wanting to be educators, teachers. This is a great period for people to find work and jobs in teaching, counseling, advising. People wanting to pursue careers in law. Okay, careers in divinity, careers in, you know, biology, management. It's a good period for those people. This is why it doesn't matter how the economy is doing of a country, how this is doing to a country. Some people will always have work. Okay, no matter what the country is, how bad their economy has been. Let's say even Japan's economy has been down for the past 25, 30 years. But they're working. There's buildings. You go to downtown, people are working. Somehow somebody is getting promoted. Somehow somebody is getting that big money. So now Saturn is like, okay, I'm coming towards Jupiter. Jupiter's like, take this. So naturally a person finds opportunities. That's expansion in their career that takes place during this time. And again, like I told you guys before, if that certain activities haven't happened in your life, certain age activations happen in your life, this is not that big blossoming period that you're thinking. But if, let's say, a person is just doing customer service job, now you find some management position in some office. Like you're going to have to manage all those things and all the stationary things in the office and all that. You're in charge. You're in charge. You're still not some millionaire crorepati. You're still getting much better than what you got last time. But only if that Bhagya Uday is there, only if you're aligned with that progressed Saturn, then yeah, things are happening. So transit is secondary thing actually. Progression is even more important than this particular event. But see, Jupiter is you. So whether it's Saturn or Jupiter, Jupiter is you. So that means this now you're going to become very practical, very realistic, focusing on your work, becoming very career obsessed and oriented. Like, like if it's happening at 25, your cousins, your friends may not even hear from you. You're like, I'm out there. I'm like, rolling on tickets. I'm writing tickets. I need to get my money now. So a person becomes very disciplined about finding that success in their career during this particular time period. Now, because Jupiter is you, a person will feel overworked, like they will feel burnt out. Because what happens is, especially when you're young, you just will go, 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 go. Here's the opportunity. World is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I gotta go, 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 go. And then you burn yourself out. If it's happening in your 40s and 50s or 60s, then you're like, all right, opportunity's here. I'll assess it. I'm gonna see how I can divide my time. Like you're not so much in a hurry. You're like, all right, that's cool. What else is going on? Okay. So this is Jupiter becoming trine or Saturn becoming trine from Jupiter. Next, we're going to see Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu themselves. So Saturn meets your Saturn in Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. Hey, time to work. That's it. Saturn's going to put you to work. Saturn's going to make you work hard. Saturn's going to exhaust you in your work. It's like, this is it. It's time. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Okay? So what happens with Saturn meeting Saturn itself? The work is meeting work. Meaning your karma is now going to become the most important thing in your life. You're going to, like a person begins to realize that I better get going now in my life. It's more subdued when it's in trine. But it's, like I said, it's 100% when it's going over a planet. Okay? This is the period where you will see, like if you have an older brother, they're going to be stressed out with their work. They're going to be like, I gotta, do this. I gotta do this. I got this responsibility, that responsibility. And especially because Saturn is responsibility and karma, somehow you will have to help your older brother out if you have an older brother in your life. Or a senior individual in life, because naturally Saturn represents older people, handicapped people. And in order to not get burned out, help out handicapped and older people now, because that's what Saturn represents. Donate money to them, especially Saturday. Why? Because Saturday is connected with Saturn. That's all. That's the only simple thing that will take place during this time. Especially Saturn makes a person loves retro things, older things, classical things, conservative things. Many people find comfort in conservatism than liberalism when Saturn meets Saturn. Okay, especially whether it's meeting Saturn or it's in trine from Saturn. Person loves the older way, older principles in their own life and karma. Next, we'll do Rahu and Ketu. So when Saturn meets Rahu and Ketu, so for 2.5 years, if your Saturn is trine from Ketu or is meeting Ketu, most important thing, don't celebrate anything connected with your career. You get a promotion, you get a bonus, you get a new job offer. Don't be putting things online. Don't be taking your friends out for drinks because you got this big bonus and all that. Don't be popping champagne bottles. Don't be opening up a business and doing big celebrations, ribbon cutting and champagne popping. The sheen of that particular thing goes down. Ketu does not like celebration. So when Saturn is now connected with your Ketu for 2.5 years, for 2.5 years, regardless of the degree, okay, you get $100,000 bonus check. Just look at it, deposit it from your phone, or you go to the bank, deposit check, be on your way for just working like it's a regular day. That's it. Your investment in, altcoins or Bitcoin jumps 80%, and now you're a multi-millionaire. No need to post it online. No need to brag about it. No need to do nothing. Just stay quiet and keep doing your work like nothing has happened. And in that case, those things will increase. You start a business, don't be starting a business like you're the best thing in the market. Become the most humble person. Become the most humble business. Like, we're starting at the bottom. Please help us out. We need help. We are here. We want to help you out. Make yourself look more humble. Make yourself, you're just new and you just don't know what you're doing. Or you know what you're doing, you're a new person. You're just down to earth. You're not a Shahenshah, you're not a king. And once you start at the bottom and you go up, within those 2.5 years, it'll establish your business to be a long-term business. And now only if you have combinations for business. Rahu. Well, Rahu is asking for the big celebrations. Rahu is asking for go out there, beat the drum. But what happens when Saturn does meet Rahu? Confusion sets in. Because Rahu is confusion. A person feels confused about their karma. What am I doing? Why am I here? What is this? Sitting in a job, sitting in a thing. Even if somebody's making millions, they question themselves. And I've seen so many of those documentaries. I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary, I Am. You should watch it. Of this director who directed Ace Ventura. And then Bruce Almighty. And I think all these became a multi-millionaire. And then one day he just woke up. He's like, what the hell is this? This is nothing. I want to live the most smallest, simple, harmonious life ever. Left all the money. Left all this luxury lifestyle. But I'm just saying, it's not like everybody's going to awaken like that. But the confusion does come in to question who you are. But also, Saturn Rahu brings in foreign opportunities to work in foreign countries. And if you do, please take it. Because now you're aligning with that Saturn Rahu. You go into pharmacy, petroleum, okay? You go into being an engineer in some garbage disposal company. Boom, you're gonna succeed. Because Rahu is garbage, Saturn is karma. Somebody has to collect the garbage. And even big garbage company, like especially in the US, let's say waste management, okay? They will have IT individuals, they will have software individuals, they will need researchers, they will need market analysis, scientists, I don't know, whatever. But every single industry out there needs someone. Okay. So with Saturn Rahu, it can activate those particular things. Saturn Rahu can, although, bring about karmas of addiction and gambling. So if you have those yogas in your chart, they can now get activated. So you want to be careful of that. But see, Rahu is big. You're going to open up your business. Do the biggest celebration. Now, the only time you don't want to do biggest celebration, if in your birth chart, Saturn and Ketu are conjunct and Saturn is not retrograde. Saturn is trine from Ketu in your birth chart. Progress Saturn is being looked on by Ketu. Then even if Rahu and Saturn are meeting in transit, you don't want to do too much of a celebration. Some small thing is fine, but you don't want to do that. So there's these different scenarios, which can only happen when I see the chart. Because I've seen people. When I did this actual test, many I saw. that not unknowingly did these big celebrations and then things just went down. I don't know if you guys are on my Facebook. Be on my Facebook, on my X, because I always post things now there. I'm active there now, just out of curiosity, especially because I have to run my photography page on my Facebook, which is Kapiel Raaj Photography. So because my page is connected with my Keras channel page, I'm like, all right, let me just be active here now too. Why not? Because it's just a simple click and then I'll post something. And I've been posting a lot of techniques on my Facebook page as well. So check that out. Otherwise, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss these type of videos. And if you want to know everything about your birth chart, go to kerasastrology.com for your consultations and reports. And remember, my Jupiter retrograde video is also up on Keras Vlogs on my academy, Magha Vedic Astrology Academy. It's a one-time membership vlog thing where I upload monthly horoscopes, where I upload all these techniques. So you'll see those. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.